Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 11 this morning, President Trump will deliver a commencement address to the United States Coast Guard Academy. This is going to be at Cadet Memorial Field in Connecticut. President Trump speaking with reporters momentarily a few moments ago, and we'll get to some of those clips here in just a second. This August, the United States Coast Guard is celebrating 235 years since its inception. Let's take a look at a new video from the USCG.
May is National Military Appreciation Month. It's a time to pause, reflect, and honor those who wear the uniform. From the front lines to the home front, the unwavering dedication of our service members and military families ensures our nation's security. They stand ready every single day, working tirelessly across the globe to defend our freedoms and uphold our values. Behind every uniform is a profound commitment to protecting our shores and saving lives. And behind every member is a family, sharing that sacrifice. To all who serve and all who support them, thank you for standing the watch.
And of course, as you know, President Trump will be speaking at the Coast Guard Academy here shortly. Also, I got this book over on Amazon recently, 1776, David McCullough. I know a lot of you may have read it. You may have seen this cover. Has the gold label here celebrating 250 years of the USA. So looking forward to cracking this open, checking it out, and reading it. Also, moments ago, the president spoke with reporters prior to his departure. Let's take a look at that.
Vance or Rubio did better in the press briefing.
I think they both did great. What do you want me to say, right? I think they both. Do you like that? That's pretty good, though, right? I think they both did good. I watched both of them. So, they're both very good men, really are.
Are you going to Taiwan? Do you have any plans to call President Liu before you make your decision on the arms deal?
What?
Do you have any plans to call President Liu of Taiwan before you make a decision on the weapons package?
Well, I'll speak to him. I speak to everybody. We have that situation very well in hand. We had a great meeting with President Xi. It was amazing, actually. It was amazing. Many of you were there. We'll work on that, the Taiwan problem.
Are you worried about the ballroom funding, Mr. President? There's speculation that could be...
The ballrooms are being built. Yeah. I'm building the ballroom. You saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We're building a great ballroom. It's been needed. It's a very military complex. The roof is actually a drone port. The roof of the ballroom is a drone port, and it gives great safety to everything below. So it's good. We're building a really great ballroom, but it's also a strong military position for our people.
So the president, of course, speaking with reporters on his way to Connecticut for that Coast Guard commencement speech. We'll have that live and full here on Right Side. Meantime, I ran into some great patriots in the state of Alabama recently. Veteran Glenn Tate was flying a Freedom 250 American flag on the back of his Jeep at a car show. So I was out doing some errands. So I briefly stopped by to say hi, to ask him about our country, and he shared just a few, but some powerful words. Take a listen.
God, guts, and glory. President Trump is the best thing that's ever happened to this country. Keep going. God, guts, and glory. President Trump is the best thing that's ever happened to this country. Keep going.
Always good to see the red, white, and blue decked out, whether it's a new Freedom 250 flag, an America 250 flag, the traditional Old Glory, wherever you see it, filled with, that patriotic, spirit that we have. And on top of that, of course, of all years, when our country is turning 250 years young. So a lot of coverage coming up for all of that over the summer right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Meantime, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville won yesterday's primary as he's running for governor in Alabama. Our crew caught up with Coach recently in Auburn, Alabama.
We got huge problems. I know for a fact, being in the last 6 years in federal government, we've got a lot of problems in federal government. That trickles down to state government. And we got to protect ourselves from the federal government from the things that could possibly happen economically and all the other things that trickle down from the federal government. So I've got a plan in place. We'll be ready to go if elected in today and then in November. We're not wasting any time. We will hit the ground running. Again, I'm not doing this for anything other than helping the state of Alabama and our country to make it stronger. Questions?
Great to see Tommy Tuberville, of course, winning that primary for the great state of Alabama. Our crew just getting that yesterday as he was out there on the campaign and, again, winning that primary. All right, so there's some other national news we were looking at as well. American patriot Tina Peters, of course, will be set free in the near future with parole starting June 1st. And I believe we, the people, have one thing to say about that. Tina Peters for Congress. Saw that a few times out there on various chats and various posts out there. And speaking of chats, we're going to get into some of that here on Rumble. So those of you watching on Rumble, get ready. We're going to come to you here in just a second. We'll just, interact with each other a little bit. Thank you. I just saw somebody say, welcome back, Matthew. That is from Kelly's song. So thank you so much for saying that. We'll get to that in just a bit. And then we'll also maybe shift over to YouTube as well. But looking forward to hanging out with you guys a little bit as we get ready for President Trump coming up at the top of the hour. Now, from now until then, outside of interacting with all of our great viewers here at Right Side, we will also be interviewing a number of people. So we'll have that throughout the broadcast as well. In the meantime, let's take a quick commercial break. It's great to be back. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, we will be able to, if needed, we'll be playing that entire soundbite or at least interview statement from Tommy Tuberville as well throughout the broadcast. So looking forward to seeing the president at the top of the hour and our various interviews coming up. In the meantime, let's go to Rumble quickly and ask where you guys are watching from. Always good to know which state you're watching from in the union. And I have a couple questions for you as well. But in the meantime, we see that Ziffy Cat is saying, pride in America is escalating. Everyone President Trump endorsed for last night's elections won. And that is something that we saw on Truth Social, on X, that President Trump went 37-0 yesterday for all of the endorsements that he had out there. Highlighting that fact, of course. Hello from Ohio, Maryland, Lyons, Michigan. This person here, G. Ruman, 47, says God wins. So always good to see people here on Rumble right now. Yes, good to see Matthew again. Thank you again for that. Good morning all. Happy Trump Day, Ziffy Cat says. And thank you RSBN crew and mods, MAGA. So good stuff there on Rumble. We'll go back to that in just a little bit. And then we'll switch over to YouTube and say hello to you guys in a little bit as well. So, of course, coming up in just a little bit, we'll have a number of great patriots here on the network. Looking forward to those interviews live. In the meantime, why don't we do this? Let's go to Tommy Tuberville. He stopped in Auburn yesterday. Director, do we have that in full that we can play right now? Let's go to that.
Hey, Coach, good morning.
Is he ready?
We all ready?
Ready? Everybody ready?
All right.
I like the outfit. Looking good. Well, it's a good day, great day. Great weather day. It's a great day for voting for our state. Every state has their own primary. Today's our day in the state of Alabama. I just cast my vote. I'm taking a different route. The last time I was in front of you on election day, I was running for the United States Senate. We were successful there. About a year ago, I decided to come back and start a new direction of our state. You know, our country's in trouble, and when your country's in trouble, you obviously have problems in your state. We got a great state. We got huge opportunities in the state. I'm good friends with President Trump. I talked to him a long time about doing this. He said he'll help us. He already has helped us, but at the end of the day, for the next few years, I want to come back, start a state government that's going to be for the people to make it stronger. We got huge problems. I know for a fact, being in the last 6 years in federal government, we got a lot of problems in federal government. That trickles down to state government, and we got to protect ourselves from the federal government, from the things that could possibly happen economically and all the other things that trickle down from the federal government. So I've got a plan in place. We'll be ready to go if elected in today and then in November. We're not wasting any time. We will hit the ground running. Again, I'm not doing this for anything other than helping the state of Alabama and our country to make it stronger. Questions?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask something. Okay.
All right.
So you said Alabama's in trouble. We need to make a change. It's been with Governor Ivey, Republican, for a while. What do you think you're going to get in and do different if elected?
Yeah, we're not in bad trouble as a lot of other states. Governor Ivey has done a good job in keeping things consistent. Now, I've worked very hard the last 6 years to get manufacturing back. I'm going to be the head recruiter of the state of Alabama if elected. We have to grow our state. We can't stay the same. We need to educate our kids. We need to keep them in state. And by doing that, you got to bring manufacturing back to the state. Now, AI is going to be the future of our country. We got to change the direction, some of the things that we do in education in this state to keep our kids educated to the point where they can get a great job and help our state grow. A lot of people are...
All right, so great to see Coach Tuberville winning that primary in Alabama just yesterday, of course, endorsed by President Donald J. Trump. Also, if you'd like to see that in full, the statement and some of the Q&A there with Mr. Tuberville, of course, the senator of Alabama, you can check it out on all of our social media platforms. That was posted just yesterday. You can just scroll through, you'll check it out, and you can find it there. Also, this all brought to you by some great sponsors, including mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the warehouse moving sale still ongoing. Save up to 80% on some great products there at mypillow.com/RSBN. So, mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota and has a number of great companies, including this one right here, mypillow.com/RSBN. If you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate as we continue to grow and expand here at Right Side and cover a lot of the news that's happening out there. Great to do it. Glad you're with us. Just go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, let's go to our first guest of the broadcast. Joining us now is Them Before Us founder, Katy Faust. Thanks so much for joining us, Katy.
Hey, great to be with you.
Great to be with you as well. So I understand there's a new children's right scorecard out there. So a children's rights scorecard out there just released by your organization. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. You know, we pass all kinds of laws that have to do with marriage and family and parenthood, and it always serves adults. It are always the things that the adults want. Everything from no-fault divorce to the definition of parentage to reproductive technologies to who goes on a birth certificate. And those decisions tend to be driven by adult identities, adult desires, And very often they don't serve children. So my nonprofit, Them Before Us, just published a national scorecard grading every single state, not based on whether our laws about marriage and family advance the interest of adults, but whether or not they protect the needs of children. So that is now out and online, and really going to put a lot of states on notice as it relates to whether or not they're protecting or victimizing children.
And are we talking about kind of that woke mindset ideology being poured into the young minds across the country in various schools? Is that specifically the goal, is to make sure parents are aware of that school district or that state is maybe an F minus?
This one actually has to do with family structure. How do we think about the family? Are mothers and fathers important to children? And the answer is, of course, absolutely yes. And yet, many of our laws, yes, pushed by LGBT interests or like woke organizations, are trying to strip laws of mothers and fathers, the importance of mothers and fathers. It is trying to destabilize the family as a structure, as a unit, not because it's good for the kids, but because it advances something that adults want. So this metric very specifically looks at the best interest of the child as it relates to simply family formation and family structure. And what happens when you protect the family structure, you're also going to protect children from so many other woke advances and woke expressions happening throughout the rest of society as well.
Exactly. That's what we see, unfortunately, happening. But it's patriots like yourself that I believe you have kids, yes? I mean, a mama bear. I mean, there's plenty of mama bears out there. Of course, us dads out there as well don't want our kids getting any of that woke stuff going on. So is that the main driver for you? What was it that made you go to the next level? I mean, there are mama bears, but then there are mama bears that have the claws out a little bit like yourself.
Yeah, I'm generally very agreeable. I love everybody. But there's two things that will get the claws out. Number one is don't touch my kids. Leave my kids alone. So I've written a book called Raising Conservative Kids in a Woke City about exactly how to make sure that the woke and nobody else can come for your kids, even if you're living in a really liberal area. But the other thing is don't touch anybody's kids. Children have a fundamental right to be known and loved by their own mother and father. And unfortunately, the way that we conceive of marriage and family laws these days often reduce them to the status of accessory or commodity to be assigned to and for whatever adult has the money and means to acquire them, a lot of times through reproductive technologies, through the redefinition of parenthood, to who goes on a birth certificate and what is the birth certificate for, and how do we fortify the marital unit, or how do we destabilize it through all these different no-fault divorce laws. And so this toolkit, right, this scorecard is going to show people actually these kinds of laws that destabilize the family by exalting adult desire above children's needs harms them. And we're putting you on notice, states. You can go and you can look at Wyoming's score or Alaska's score or Washington, D.C. score and see exactly how our laws are actually stripping children of their rights and needs in the name of advancing adult identities.
So the next question is, where can you find this?
Yeah, you can go to thembeforeus.com and you can drop down the menu and see our children's rights scorecard and just take a look, browse around, take a look at your state. Did you get a C? Did you get an F? A lot of states got D's and F's because there hasn't been an organization that is defending the rights of children in these kinds of conversations. They are dominated by adult desires, identities, adult lobby groups. And it's finally time for somebody to stand up for the kids.
Would you care to disclose what state you're in? You could either say it's a conservative or liberal state if you don't want to say which state, but also can you talk to us about what was the personal thing that happened maybe to your kid when it comes to some of the woke stuff that lit you on fire?
So everybody knows I live in Seattle. And everybody knows that because the Seattle Times just ran a hit piece on me on Mother's Day, promoted and paid as enemy number one, because I advance the rights of children, because I believe two things that is absolutely heretical in this state. Children have a right to their mother and father, and they shouldn't be bought and sold. And that makes me persona non grata, or go get her, here's her address. So everybody knows that I'm in Seattle for that. Why did I get into this fight? It was because of gay marriage. Gay marriage, in essence, normalized the absence of a child's mother or father in the name of adult equality. And that dooms them to lives where they are struggling developmentally, they have identity issues, and they're very often raised in homes that statistically have increased risk of abuse and neglect. So marriage is about justice for children. That's what got me into this 12 years ago. And they unleashed a woman who says, no more. Whatever you want to do in your personal lives, don't touch the kids. And this scorecard is just one more extension of the don't touch the kids mentality.
Them Before Us founder Katy Faust, doing great things for the country, doing great things for youth. Thank you again, Katy, for joining us here on Right Side.
Yeah, great to be with you.
Thank you. Great to see people like that doing great things, here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, we have a number of live interviews coming up. This is prior to seeing President Trump in Connecticut. He'll be speaking as he delivers the commencement address to the United States Coast Guard. We have another video we'll be playing in a little bit if you're just joining us when it comes to the Coast Guard. Before we get to some more live interviews and some of the news of the day, and before we interact with you a little bit more, maybe on YouTube this time, we started out with Rumble. We'll go back and forth between you on the live chats there as we are getting ready to see, again, the Commander-in-Chief, the 47th President, at the top of the hour. Let's go to some of our sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy, as you see there on your screen. 10%, always good to save when you are going to check out at All Family Pharmacy. And when it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it. Long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance, and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple. You go online, you choose what you need, and you fill out a short medical form. It's safe because a licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. They offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from the everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. So no confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use that RSBN 10 promo code. You'll get 10% off. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And don't forget to use that RSBN 10 for 10% off. Birch Gold Group, specifically when there are supply constraints on commodities, prices, of course, surge. You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And we know that gold is also a limited commodity. Of course, they mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it. And that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, just text Trump to that number you see on your screen there, 989898. So Birch Gold can help you actually convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So just text Trump to that number, 989898, to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Great sponsor there is Birch Gold Group and All Family Pharmacy. We'll go to some more here in just a little bit. Thanks again for joining us here on RSBN Live. It is 10:23 Eastern Time. At 11 a.m., President Trump will deliver that commencement address in Connecticut at the Cadet Memorial Field. And of course, that'll be at the top of the hour. So looking forward to seeing that here shortly. In the meantime, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. Thanks so much for live streaming as we get ready to see President Trump in about 35 minutes from now. Let's go to YouTube now. We were at Rumble just a second ago. We'll head back to Rumble as we are proud to have Rumble as our home here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. But I just want to give a shout out to those of you watching on YouTube as well. First question for you on YouTube, where are you watching from? And then, of course, I'll ask you a couple questions. Let's get some interaction going there on YouTube as we are looking live there. Beautiful skies in Washington, D.C. We are less than a month and I think maybe 14 days until July 4th. And of course, a lot sooner than that, next month, June 14th, less than a month from now, quite the party on the south lawn of the White House, a huge UFC fight. The stage will be set up, the music. It's going to be a huge party there on the South Lawn. So we'll be watching that as well. But of course, July 4th, when we turn 250, going to be pretty awesome to check out. Let's see what we have here on YouTube right now. Just wanted to say hi to all of you guys watching here. Looks like we have somebody from Canada watching. So hello to Canada. Let's see what else we have here. President Donald J. Trump, best president in history. Want to see him on Rushmore. That's Georgia Francis, 9059, saying that. William Jones, hello to you. Matthew Alvarez, hello. South Carolina here. Awesome to see you there in the Palmetto State. Seeing someone else in Scandinavia watching. So we have Canada, Scandinavia, South Carolina. Great to see everyone here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, watching on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, wherever you're watching right now. Thank you so much for doing so. And maybe we can get into some more topics in a minute. Maybe we'll do that now, actually. We do have a live interview coming up in just a few minutes. So do you guys think that the Save America Act will pass? So you could say yes or no on YouTube right now. As I'm checking YouTube out, I'll check out Rumble in a minute. But just wondering what your thoughts are. Now, if you say yes or no, great. But also, if you want to expound on that or expand on that, sure. I can share that with the audience here as well. So give it a second for it to continue on here, as it's a little bit of a delay once it finally gets onto YouTube and Rumble. But we're also seeing people watch from Central Texas. Hello from Norway. And looking forward to, this person says, meeting Marco Rubio. So we'll see if that is able to happen. All right, so we have a lot of people from our states here in this country and out there across the earth as well. Robert Hart says 100%, meaning that he believes that the Save America Act will pass. Ohio Light 9208, good morning, Matthew. William Jones also saying yes, 100% that the Save America Act will pass. So that's some of the things that we're talking about, of course, right now, as we are looking forward to as many wins as possible in 2026. What else would you guys like to see out there when it comes to victories in this country? And ideally, I mean, if you think about it, President Trump called it the Save America Act because our country needs saving in a way, right? We do want to keep our Constitution intact, our freedoms intact. We know that we have that happening now, but what will it look like in a few years from now? What will it look like with these midterm elections? We know that President Trump, endorsed 37 people, and they all won their primaries yesterday in 6 states. Just reporting the facts to that, whether you agree with every endorsement or not, it's up to you guys. But the point is, we're also seeing that someone's also watching from Sweden. So pass the Save America Act, Eliza Portillo is saying as well. And yeah, so it's great to see some people on there on YouTube and Rumble. Let's also go over a couple of our sponsors here as we get ready to interview some great people here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Just mixing it up a little bit today with getting warmed up with just chatting with you guys out there. Usually I ask about, what state you're watching from, but I think we can expand the discussion as we, cover the news of the day, but also have various live interviews and we cover the live events that are happening out there. So let's go with Kalshi.com in the meantime, Kalshi.com/RSBN. You could save some great money there by just going to Kalshi.com/RSBN. There's a little gift there for you. But also you can go to the QR code. You could also go download the Kalshi app. A ton of trending topics on there that people are either betting, trading, or just checking out various polls, whether it's politics or sports. And speaking of sports, I'm sorry to report in Buffalo, New York, I'm sorry that the Sabres lost in Game 7 against the Canadiens the other day. I was pulling for you guys because I know how passionate you guys are as fans, having been to that arena myself. But hopefully next season it can go all the way. Anyway, so Kalshi.com/RSBN, great sponsor here on Right Side. More than 1 million users on that site. And that number is growing. I mean, this is growing in popularity, not only for the betting trading aspect, but really for the polling. There's so many unique things that you can see on there. So just check it out, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, CovePure.com/RSBN. Of course, you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before. And if the water scares in Flint, Michigan and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to make you switch when it comes to this water situation, well, this might. More than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there, they don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and even increased cancer risk. But this is the part that's making a number of people upset because the EPA actually set legal limits for PFAs in drinking water back in 2024. But the water systems have until 2031 to comply. That's a whole 5 years from now. And until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking it, and that's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. Now, recently, EPA Administrator Zeldin announced $1 billion of grants for smaller communities to get rid of the forever chemicals. So that's one of the latest news items that we're seeing when it pertains to drinking water. But in the meantime, if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself. Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters that you see out there at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those PFAs, or the heavy metals, the fluoride, pharmaceuticals, this machine filters particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is they make it so easy it sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in and you can get it whatever temperature water you want as well, hot, cold, or warm. And that's all with a tap of a button. So don't wait until 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of Right Side Broadcasting Network, you'll get that $250 off. All you have to do is go to covepure.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks again for live streaming in with us here on Right Side. Let's do this. Let's go to a great person that's been on the broadcast before. Joining us now is the founder of Courage is a Habit, Alvin Liu. Thanks again for joining us, Alvin.
Hey, great to see you, Matthew. How are you?
I am good. Back here in the studio. And,
awesome.
Looking forward to chatting with you about this. I mean, we know that the midterms and the presidential elections are a big deal. But let's talk about the importance of local races, primaries, and those elections when it comes to specifically the education system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of us on the conservative side, it's really easy to get excited and wrapped up into the big stuff. The war, China, Biden, Hunter Biden and all those things, and of course Trump and who's next. But our enemies have gained so much ground, and I would argue they've pretty much won every pillar of the cultural war and now politically as well. And in our education system is because they knew that you win the war by winning small battles, especially battles where you almost go unopposed. Matthew, there's so many districts that Courage is a Habit's in where we're battling these school board members who are just dumb and degenerate, and we're doing all these things to wake parents up. And I mean, they win by like 200. They win because they got 300 votes. Not by 300 votes. They got 300 votes.
Yeah.
And it's
That's a great
just
point.
and the amount of damage somebody could do, or like a few people in Maine, some of the battles we're having in Maine, I mean, they're winning by I think 175 votes, 400 votes. You're telling me you can't get 405 people out that want to protect children? This is where for us, that's why we're so hands-on and we're such an offensive minded, because when you're talking about these big things, I'm not obviously the big things are important. I mean, thank goodness we have Trump instead of Kamala, right? But I would say I would like to see Americans inverse it. Spend 80% on the local stuff. Even if it's not school, it could be local county council, city council, sheriff, things like that. Local judges. Spend 80% on the local and then 20% on the stuff that you can't possibly do anything about. 99.9% of Americans that care about the big stuff literally can't do anything about it. But you actually can do something. You can beat that horrendous leftist crazy woke white woman who's sitting in your school board. You can get 301 people out there to vote and beat her. That's
so true, and that's exactly what's needed out there. It falls on deaf ears a lot of the times. I remember working as a local reporter and going to various school board meetings over various issues. One that was really tough to see was it was a room full, or an auditorium full, packed with parents, right? And there's maybe 4 or 5 of the school board members, and this was all about their children, the parents' kids, wearing masks or not, as little kids in the school at the elementary school. And that terrible. Was a story we were watching. And then the board members sit up there, and then here's the thing: if they're already politically into a leftist way or a woke way, then it's we the people, parents, versus those few woke members sitting up there on the board. So to your point, people should probably research specifically, when are these elections, what's going on. We've got a lot of primaries going on. And I know that specifically in the primary yesterday, it wasn't like a school board election here in Alabama, but there's got to be some way to figure this all out.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to my state, Indiana, that we've been pushing this for about 4 years, and we finally got it. It's finally passed, where the school board will now is not labeled nonpartisan. That's actually a huge reason why so many of these, essentially, whether they're useful idiots and they know they're communists or they don't, they've been able to get into school board because it has been nonpartisan. And because most people still believe that school is the school that they went to, they just believe that, when someone just says, I want to raise teacher pay and support all students, I'll just vote for that person. Whoever has the most sign, and I recognize that name. Because what's the difference? If you're running for school board, you love kids. That's how people think about it. And so our enemies have been able to get a lot of wins by calling it nonpartisan. And then when they get in, they are not even like left of center. They are, keeping transgender secrets from parents, porn in schools, critical race theory, anti-white. So it's not even just like a little bit left-leaning. And so Indiana just passed the law here that says that now school boards will be partisan just like any other race. And I think every state should follow suit. So I want to give a shout out to my state in Indiana for doing that, because that is really huge.
Yeah, that is. It gives more transparency as to what your kids are around. Mm-hmm. And also, speaking of Indiana, there's that report out there that is quite revealing. It has to do with women polling on the subject of males and female sports. Is that right?
So we did something we've never done before, and I haven't seen it done either. So there is a local candidate that's running in Indiana, and he wrote this long, rambling word salad. He threw every gaslighting, every excuse that the transgender cult puts out in this long Facebook post, and all of it was just him justifying men and women's sports and locker rooms. That's all it was. And so when I read that, I read all the comments, and I noticed that just from reading that a lot of the people who supported him were women, which is ironic because you're hurting women. So we did the crunching. We took all the comments. We closed we closed it on April 20th. So I'm sure there's some comments after that. And so we found that of all the women that commented, 92% supported him and the transgender cult. 99% of the initial pushback, like if you read it, it'd be support, and then oppose, support, oppose. 99% of that were men.
Man.
And then ultimately, when we did this case study, it's a case study that you can link it on your show notes, and you can find it right now on our website, courageisahabit.org, under Tools of the Week, courageisahabit.org, Tool of the Week. You can read it for yourself. 45% of men, these weak, white, guilt-filled men, they supported that. But that means that honestly, most of the pushback, 99% of the pushback came from men. And then so we wanted to show people this is how the demographic breaks down. Furthermore, we also showed the tactics the transgender cultists, the people who supported him, used. And the three most common tactic was they appeal to experts. They hid behind experts. They just hid behind experts to justify the transgender atrocities. They look to government. Well, is that the law? The government says so. And then emotional blackmail. That was almost like that made up for almost 99% of the between those three, the tactics. And so it's interesting, guys. I don't think that the case study showed anybody who's been paying attention anything shocking. But when you put it together in a blueprint like this, it takes all the emotions out of it. And then you can take this blueprint, and our argument is this blueprint can be duplicated in any city, in any suburb across America. You're going to be within 2 to 3%. Like, you're never going to find a suburb where you're like, hey, it looks like 92% of women actually were against him. It's not. You're going to find maybe 90%, maybe 82%, or 89%, but you're going to be within that 2 to 3% because that's what we've seen across the country. So we wanted to give this to everybody so that you know that when you're going to fight this, exactly who the group is, what they're going to say, and you just ignore all of it because it's all emotional blackmail.
Man, it's wild. There's so many questions running through my mind about the emotions side of it, and let's end with that and have a discussion about it. And this is a brainstorming discussion, by the way, for those watching right now. This is not. This is literally in the flow, in the moment. So So when you have the women out there that are saying, yeah, it's okay that men are in women's sports, their emotions obviously leading that. They may be hearing from someone that seems like the authority on it. And so they just follow that. Yes. The problem is it's maybe the men that they're married to that are not alpha males that have the truth going on, and maybe they're just weak men. So they don't have 100%. They don't have that guy around that's like, understands what's going on. So they just flock to, well, that guy sounds like the person, or the woman that sounds like the right person. And so they just get into this whole problem. And it's just, it's brainwashing, right? So it's also a lack of the real men out there that should be calling the shots when it comes to things like this.
Matthew, I'm so glad you said that. That is so true, because while we showed that the majority of people who are actively pushing for this are mostly woke white women, suburban woke white women at that, our position is, even if they had the inclination to do that, if we had stronger men, this wouldn't happen. Because it's the men that have to defend it. If a guy pretending to be a girl walks into a woman's bathroom or their daughter's locker room, and all the men reacted like the way men should, there'd be no problem. You and I wouldn't be talking about this. So the fact that 45% of men in Indiana were supporting this guy with this long word salad, rambling word salad that it says nothing, but just so that he can justify that, 45% of men still supported this guy. And we're in Indiana. Okay. So this goes to show you that ultimately the country goes and falls based on the strength of men, the leadership of men, what a rock you are. And when men are not, all the things that we're seeing, all the bad things that we're seeing is gonna happen.
And so the roles are reversed in a way. A man that's overly feminine all the time and all that, that's what we're seeing there. And then you add some brainwashing, you add some false information, the woke mind virus, and then it's just a terrible situation. If you just do the true process, right? If you just do it right under God, things would look a lot better, wouldn't they? Final word, sir.
100%. And so for I'm going to speak to a lot of the guys out there, whatever you're not happy about, you have the power to control it. You have the power to change it. I get all the argument about what feminism did. Trust me, we've gone after feminism hard. And I know what they've done to families and men and women and children, but ultimately you can't change the past. But if you have children and niece and nephew, you have wives and girlfriends and your mother and aunt, right now you can make a change, and you have to stand up no matter what. And this is why courage is a habit.
Early on, it was great to see, of course, women's right to vote and all these things. It's all awesome. But then, of course, the corruption of the whole feminist movement that happened over the years. Holy smokes. But Alvin Liu, thanks again for joining us. This is the founder of Courage is a Habit. Thanks for what you're doing out there for the country. You're welcome. Good stuff. Always good to have Alvin on the show. And we'll have some more live interviews coming up here in just a second. Let's go to a few sponsors before we move on as we get ready to see the president about 16 minutes or so from now. Let's go to our first sponsor right here on your screen, All Family Pharmacy. All right, so specifically when it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And peace of mind is a big one. Right now, there's not always something that you can always get when it comes to those things: access, safety, peace of mind. And you've probably experienced it out there, those long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance, and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple. You go online, you choose what you need, and fill out a short medical form. It's safe. A licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. They offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to those antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. No confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that code RSBN10 to save 10%. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, our next sponsor there, as you see there, specifically when it comes to Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices, of course, surge. You saw that with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. They mine it out of the ground, of course, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, all you have to do is text Trump to the number you see on your screen, 989898. Again, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Again, text Trump to the number 989898. This is to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. All right, it is 10:47, and speaking of 47, the 47th President of the United States will be joining us, but let's go to the White House now as we have the White House Deputy Press Secretary, Abigail Jackson. Thanks again for joining us, Abigail. Definitely can't hear you at this point right now. Guys, do we have any audio on Abigail? Why don't we do this? We'll come right back to you, Abigail, as soon as we get the audio checked up. And let's go to a commercial break, guys. We'll be right back with the White House Deputy Press Secretary.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed.
All right, welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's return to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Joining us now is White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson. Thanks again for joining us, Abigail.
Yes, great to be with you as always, and glad you can hear me now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad the audio is back up and running. And speaking of back up and running, the reflecting pool's looking good, the Meridian Hill Park, and then all of the safety that we're seeing in the nation's capital. So we're seeing a big change in D.C., aren't we?
Oh, absolutely we are. A big change, not just in the occupant at the White House, who is, as President Trump is implementing a host of policies to make daily life better for Americans around the country, but we're really seeing it on full display here in Washington, D.C., where he is making our nation's capital city both safe and beautiful ahead of America's 250th birthday. And that goes for everything from, like you pointed out, safety initiatives to make crime go away in the city, to lock up dangerous criminals, to get gang members and dangerous weapons off the streets. The DC Safe and Beautiful initiative has also helped locate missing children. But aside from the crime element, something that I think has gone underreported are the quality of life increases for residents in this city by making the city beautiful again, by turning on fountains across the city that have been dry for years and years. And something that I love as a staffer for the president is seeing even the city's most liberal residents celebrating these changes. It makes a big difference when you live in a beautiful city, and the president recognizes how important it is to have our nation's capital reflect the splendor of our great country, and he is working on that every single day.
Well, when you combine beauty and safety together, and then you're down with law and order, whether it's a police department or a county sheriff's department, or how about the National Guard in D.C.? I mean, these are things that are really changing the whole landscape of our nation's capital. That's why it's all about making Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful again. And let's talk about the rest of the country out there. We're seeing some crime numbers going down as well, because it seems as if these local police stations are saying, you know what, we have a president, we have people that are on board with law and order, finally.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought this up, because it's not just Washington, D.C. This law and order agenda is something the president has taken across the country. There's new data out from the FBI. Just this morning, I saw that violent crime across the country has reached its lowest level in over 90 years. That is hugely significant, and it's across violent crime categories. So things like assault, rape, murder, all of those crime categories are dropping because we finally have a president that's prioritizing law and order. And that's not even to mention all of the great impacts we're seeing from deporting criminal illegal aliens, something that remains a priority for the president. So these are just, a handful of things the president is doing to make daily life better for all Americans.
It's great to see that. And I was going to ask you about ICE out there. It seems as if that is still ongoing, the mass deportation operation. I mean, it's happening. I mean, at the end of the day, criminal illegal aliens being deported by ICE. Great to see that. Now, shifting gears slightly, in a recent interview, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke about how he filled in for Carolyn Leavitt during a press conference recently, and he told Hannity, quote, "Carolyn is irreplaceable. We can't wait until Carolyn gets back," end quote. And everyone sees it. How awesome is Carolyn Leavitt?
She is just the best. I don't think Secretary Rubio could have said it any better. We're really looking forward to her return, and she does a great job communicating the president's message to the American people, making sure everyone knows the great work this president is doing, again, whether that is on passing the largest tax cut for working Americans and the relief that's providing to working American families, or whether it's the president's law and order initiatives to keep Americans safe. One thing I would like to point out, too, is that, we see this great work that the task force in D.C. is doing, but this is something the president has implemented in other cities across the country. In Tennessee, for example, the president has implemented a similar task force, and the president has said, look, other cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, Democrat-run cities, they should be begging for the president to come in and help their cities the same way he has done in D.C. and in Tennessee.
Yeah, it was great to see that in Western Tennessee, specifically Memphis. And there's many cities out there. I mean, I think the Governor Landry of Louisiana, actually reached out to the president and said, hey, what about New Orleans? So it would be nice to see that. I'm sure the people that live in these cities would like to have more of that peace and safety and the law and order aspect. As we know, President Trump is a staunch law and order president. And finally, something that he spoke about a lot over the past, year on Truth Social, sometimes he would just say, quote, free Tina. And now we're seeing some developments there with the freeing of Tina Peters, that she would be on parole in next month. So your thoughts about the voice of the president, specifically for things like that, for people like Tina Peters.
Look, I think every American knows that the president believes in law and order, and he also believes in fairness and in righting wrongs for victims of the Biden Department of Justice's weaponization campaign. He knows firsthand what it's like to be a victim of weaponization when the Biden Department of Justice went after President Trump. But they also went after, just normal Americans, individuals who were exercising their First Amendment rights and protesting in defense of human life and pushing a pro-life message. Those folks were also victims of the Biden's Department of Justice hyper-weaponization. So the president will never hesitate to speak out for what he knows and what he believes is right and just. And you see that with everything he does, whether it is arresting criminals and keeping streets safe, or whether that is advocating for those who have been unfairly prosecuted.
You bring up a great point about the weaponization. I remember back April 4th of, I think it was 2023. I remember because I went to New York City when President Trump was actually his first day in court. And I remember the motorcade driving by and people were still clapping and just, supporting the 45th president at that moment. And of course, running for as the 47th. But your thoughts about that? I mean, he overcame so much, Abigail.
I think it just goes to show you how driven this president is to do good on behalf of the American people. As you rightfully point out, he has been attacked every which way by his political opponents. And it would have been very easy for him just to say, you know what? OK, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm giving up a lot. I'm, sacrificing a lot to do this. But he loves this country so much, and he believes that he can do what is right for the American people. And that's why he's still here fighting every day.
Amen to that. Also, we know that the White House Correspondents Association dinner, within that 30-day time frame, President Trump said that would still be on. Not sure if we've heard any word on that. Have you heard any word on that?
I don't have any announcements to share at this time, but I'm sure if there is news, you'll hear directly from the president on that.
White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Thanks.
All right, so great to speak with Abigail there live in Washington, D.C. from the White House, speaking about a number of topics, as you guys just heard. Let's go to some of our sponsors, as we're just a couple minutes from the top of the hour, as the president will be speaking and delivering that commencement address at the United States Coast Guard there. We'll have that live here on Right Side. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. You see there, specifically, if you go to the QR code, you can go right to Kalshi. You can also download the Kalshi app or go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. A number of political trending topics on there, including the mayoral race out there. Of course, Spencer Pratt against Karen Bass. Or down in Texas on May 26th is the primary for those that voted yesterday in 6 states. Awesome that you did that. I did that as well here in Alabama. And also other things that people are talking about. When is the Strait of Hormuz going to be fully open? I mean, all sorts of topics that you can check out. Not only politics, sports, and weather, and all sorts of stuff right there, Kalshi.com. Let's also go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see CovePure.com. Specifically, you've heard us talk about Cove Pure before. And you remember those water scares in Flint, Michigan, and East Palestine, Ohio. And President Trump actually spoke about East Palestine just recently on Truth Social. And if those scares in Flint and East Palestine weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking this tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, nonstick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But this is the part that's making a number of people upset because the EPA set legal limits for PFAS in drinking water back in 2024. But water systems have until 2031 to comply. That's 5 whole years from now, of course, and until that deadline, a utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking that water. That's why every single household needs Cove Pure, because the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. Now, we do know recently EPA Administrator Zeldin announced a $1 billion of grants, $1 billion grant for smaller communities to get rid of forever chemicals. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself. Cove Pure is actually engineered exactly for this. Unlike those other normal pitcher filters that you see at the store, their Clearwave technology, this reverse osmosis technology, is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those forever chemicals, the PFAS, the heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is they make it so easy. It sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in, and you can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm. Again, when it's filtered, when it goes through the filtration process, that hot, cold, and warm water gets rid of all that extra stuff, those contaminants. And that's just with a tap of the button for the hot, cold, warm option. So don't wait until 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of Right Side, you get that $250 off. All you have to do is go to covepure.com/RSBN. All right, welcome back here to Right Side as we are getting ready to go to Connecticut. Of course, President Trump will deliver a commencement address to the United States Coast Guard Academy. This is at Cadet Memorial Field in Connecticut. Speaking of the president, let's go to clip 1A when he was speaking to reporters within the past hour or so.
Vance or Rubio did better in the press briefing.
I think they both did great. What do you want me to say, right? I think they both. Do you like that? That's pretty good, though, right? I think they both did good. I watched both of them. So, both very good men, really are.
Are you going to do you have any plans to call President Lai before you make your decision on the arms deal?
What?
Do you have any plans to call President Lai of Taiwan before you make a decision on the weapons package?
Well, I'll speak to him. I speak to everybody. We have that situation very well in hand. We had a great meeting with President Xi. It was amazing, actually. It was amazing. Many of you were there. We'll work on that, the Taiwan problem.
Are you worried about the ballroom funding, Mr. President? There's speculation that could be...
The ballrooms are being built. Yeah. I'm building the ballroom. You saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
We're building a great ballroom. It's been needed. It's a very military complex. The roof is actually a drone port. The roof of the ballroom is a drone port, and it gives great safety to everything below. So it's good. We're building a really great ballroom, but it's also a strong military position for our people.
So a few questions there for the president as he was on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, of course, heading to Connecticut. Not a very long flight, of course, probably wheels down pretty soon as he's scheduled to speak at 11 o'clock, so probably already there. All right, so this August, the United States Coast Guard is celebrating 235 years since its inception. Let's take a look at a new video from the USCG.
May is National Military Appreciation Month. It's a time to pause, reflect, and honor those who wear the uniform. From the front lines to the home front, the unwavering dedication of our service members and military families ensures our nation's security. They stand ready every single day, working tirelessly across the globe to defend our freedoms and uphold our values. Behind every uniform is a profound commitment to protecting our shores and saving lives. And behind every member is a family, sharing that sacrifice. To all who serve and all who support them, thank you for standing the watch.
All right, meantime, I ran into some great patriots in Alabama recently. Veteran Glenn Tate was flying a Freedom 250 American flag on the back of his Jeep at a car show. So, of course, I see this flag, and I'm like, well, I got to go say hi. So I did. And then, of course, you know, you get out the phone and you do a quick interview. But he shared just a few, but some powerful words with us. Again, this is Glenn Tate, Vietnam veteran. Take a look.
God, guts, and glory. President Trump is the best thing that's ever happened to this country. Keep going.
All right, good stuff there. Of course, that was just recently in Alabama. Great to see people decked out with all sorts of America 250, Freedom 250 gear. Of course, Old Glory out there as well. Speaking of Freedom 250, I believe we have a new video from them as we get ready to go to Connecticut for the president's speech. Let's go to that Freedom 250 video right now.
There is no way to grasp the last 250 years of America without looking to the power of prayer. Our rights don't come from the government. Our rights come from God, the King of Kings. I said the Lord of Lords. I said the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That's our God.
Lord, we love you today, Jesus. We love you because you are the one that brought us to Washington to worship you. We glorify you, we magnify you, we lift you up. You are the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore.
We pray that you bestow upon all Americans a renewed love of country, hope for the future, and faith in your everlasting mercy and grace. We hereby rededicate the United States of America as one nation under God.
My prayer for America and its leaders in just the next 250 years is that we would take this moment in history seriously, that it wouldn't just be a moment that we come together for a day and we just say a bunch of words, but it would be a true act of rededication.
And God, I thank you for our present leader, President Trump, who gathered us together for a day of faith, a day of recommitment and rededication. And I pray, God, not only for America, but for America's leaders to rededicate themselves, their hearts, their administrations to you, and that, God, you will forever guide us to be the country that you've ordained us to be.
Pray for an awakening in this nation. I pray for healing in this nation.
Thank you for reminding us that it's God over man and man over government. We pray that we would see this time as a time to renew our commitment to you. You will send your spirit, your power, your counsel, and your might.
In such a way that the whole world would marvel that this is a nation that looks to you.
To the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the name above every name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And amen.
Amen. Amen.
Hey everybody, Chris Wiley here, retired Navy SEAL. Join me and everybody else on Memorial Day at Arlington National Cemetery, where we can honor our fallen. So if you want to be there and you can be there, please RSVP today at freedom250.org.
What an encouraging message that was from Rededicate 250. Some more than 250,000 views, at least on YouTube, and a lot on Rumble as well, our home, of course. So very encouraging there. There's none like our God. Amen? There's none like our God. He is the best, perfect, does no wrong. I don't know how he does it, but he is awesome. Also, there's some breaking news out there. Former U.S. Representative Barney Frank has passed away after the 2008 financial crisis. There's some specifics I'm reading here, but he has died at the age of 86. So former U.S. Representative Barney Frank. That per breaking 911. That coming into us here at Right Side. As it's 11:09 Eastern Time, we'll be headed to Connecticut here momentarily as soon as we see that live feed, as the president will deliver a commencement address there. Let's go to some of our sponsors in the meantime. All Family Pharmacy, specifically when it comes to healthcare. People are looking for something simple, access control and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it. Long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple because you go online, you choose what you need, and you fill out a short medical form. It's safe because a licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. So they offer access to more than, get this, 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, and 80+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. No confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code to save 10%. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. All right, let's also go to Birch Gold Group. You see it right there, specifically when there are supply constraints on commodities. It's kind of a cause and effect thing. So when there's those constraints on commodities, prices surge. And you see it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And we also know that gold is a limited commodity. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it. And that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. If you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, all you have to do is text the name Trump to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. So text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to 989898 today. It is 11 after 11 right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Getting ready again to go to Connecticut. As soon as we'll see that feed, we will take you there. U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, of course, won yesterday's primary as he's running for governor in Alabama. Our crew caught up with Coach recently, of course, former coach of the Auburn Tigers, right here in Auburn, Alabama. So let's take a look at that.
Hey, Coach, good morning.
So you ready?
We all ready?
Ready? Everybody ready?
All right.
I like the outfit. Looking good. Well, it's a good day, great day. Great weather day. It's a great day for voting for our state. Every state has their own primary. Today's our day in the state of Alabama. I just cast my vote. I'm taking a different route. The last time I was in front of you on election day, I was running for the United States Senate. We were successful there. About a year ago, I decided to come back and start a new direction of our state. You know, our country's in trouble, and when your country's in trouble, you obviously have problems in your state. We got a great state. We got huge opportunities in the state. I'm good friends with President Trump. I talked to him a long time about doing this. He said he'll help us. He already has helped us. But at the end of the day, for the next few years, I want to come back, start
All right, we have to break into the programming right now because President Trump will be soon taking the stage. Of course, again, you could watch the great Tommy Tuberville, the senator, former coach, and hopefully new governor of Alabama. You can watch that on our social platforms. Let's go to Connecticut as the president will be speaking at the United States Coast Guard Academy. Let's go there now.
Of the United States Coast Guard's Officer Corps. To the great class of 2026, congratulations, you did it. Today marks the culmination of 200 weeks of relentless hard work, perseverance, sacrifice, and growth. You have pushed through challenges that tested your limits, and you've emerged not just ready, but as exceptional leaders. In a few minutes, you will receive your hard-earned degrees, raise your right hands, take the oath of office, and accept your commissions as ensigns in the United States Coast Guard. You will walk off this campus no longer as cadets, but as officers, leaders prepared to serve. This is truly a momentous day for the Academy, for the Coast Guard, and for our nation. We thank the President for presiding over today's ceremony and for the strong support that he has shown our service. And we are privileged to welcome him back to our 103-acre campus along the Thames River, where we build leaders who will defend our maritime borders, secure our nation's interests, and project American maritime strength, security, and prosperity at sea and around the globe. Thanks to the fiscal year 2025 budget reconciliation, the Coast Guard Academy has received millions in critical funding to strengthen all three pillars of our leadership development program: military, athletics, and academics. This will include monumental renovations to Chase Hall Barracks, a world-class aquatic center, and a new science and technology building. These strategic investments will pay dividends for decades and result in a more capable and more resilient maritime force. And while we evolve and modernize this campus, the core purpose remains unwavering. We are committed to producing officers who are ready to lead with character, ready to adapt to any challenge, and ready to serve. Unlike any other federal service academy, 100% of the Coast Guard's officer corps passes through these gates. This institution forges the character, the values, and the future direction of the service. As we approach the Coast Guard Academy's 150th year, and we will welcome the class of 2030 this summer, I can assure you we are committed to excellence, to honor, respect, and devotion to duty, and to producing leaders and warriors who put America first. Like the generations of the long blue line who came before them, the men and women of the class of 2026 stand ready to protect our maritime borders, combat threats to our homeland, and defend our national interests with skill, courage, and unyielding loyalty. I can say with complete confidence, they are ready to serve wherever and whenever our nation calls. To the families and friends of the class of 2026, to the parents who guided, the siblings who stood by, the mentors and role models who offered wisdom and encouragement, today we celebrate not only the graduates' achievements, but the vital role each of you played in making this day possible. Take great pride in what they have accomplished and in the extraordinary service that lies ahead. To our dedicated faculty, staff, and coaches, thank you. You have instilled in these graduates the timeless values of the Coast Guard and have challenged them each to become their very best. Class of 2026, if you could please join me in a round of applause for your family, friends, mentors, and the entire Academy Leadership Development team. It'd be great if we could stand for that. Thank you. So now to the great class of 2026. Over the past 4 years, you earned qualifications. You built lasting relationships. You mentored your divisions. You led on the fields of competition. You brought home championships. You set high standards, and you delivered academic excellence. As first-class cadets, you guided the Corps with maturity and purpose. Today is not the end. It is the proud beginning of your service as commissioned officers in the Coast Guard. Congratulations to each of you. Now, of the graduates before us, 7 international cadets have enriched our Corps while proudly representing their home nations. At this time, we invite these international cadets and their delegations to stand as I call their names. Please hold your applause until all have been recognized. From Guyana, Verlin Gibson. From the Philippines, Arlen Bangsoy, Matthew De La Vega, and Ilissa Flores. From Honduras, Carlos Zavala. From Taiwan, Song Kai-seng. From Vietnam, Nan Ta. Please join me in a heartfelt round of applause. All of the cadets before you will join a Coast Guard operating in complex, dynamic environments at sea, in the air, across cyberspace, and along our borders and around the globe. They possess the training, the resilience, the moral compass, and the warrior spirit to meet every challenge. Class of 2026, trust yourselves. Believe in your shipmates, lead with integrity, and always put your mission and country first. Congratulations. To all of our cadets, you will always have a home here on this campus. We cannot wait to see the great things you will accomplish in all of your years of service ahead. And so as the announcer said you might hear earlier, here we say, go Coast Guard! Go Bears! We'll do that one more time. Go Coast Guard! Go Bears! It is now my privilege to introduce this year's distinguished graduate. The distinguished graduate is the cadet who has achieved the highest military precedence average across academics, military performance, and the physical fitness program over their entire 200-week program. This year's distinguished graduate is Cadet First Class Matthew Lanzalata. First Class Lanzalata is from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and a member of Delta Company. He is a marine and environmental sciences major with concentrations in marine science and geospatial intelligence. His capstone research focused on testing short-range unmanned aerial systems to augment aids to navigation inspections. First Class Lanzalata participated in the Service Academy Exchange Program and attended the United States Air Force Academy during his second-class year. He was the trap and skeet team captain and led the team in competitive shooting events against fellow service academies. He is the son of Paul and Martha Lanzalata and has an older brother, John, and he is proudly engaged to Riley Drew of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Upon graduation, First Class Lanzalata will depart to Pensacola, Florida, and report to basic flight training. And it is my great honor to introduce the distinguished graduate of the United States Coast Guard Academy, Class of 2026, Cadet First Class Lanzalata.
Good morning. Rear Admiral Rothrock, distinguished guests, faculty and staff, family and friends, and of course, the great class of 2026. Our time here at the Academy is strictly defined in terms of length. when we wake up in the morning, what we do during the day, and when we can leave. But how a class navigates from the start to the end is largely on the shoulders of a class. During our fourth class year, we chose our motto to be, "We will find a way or make one," and that is how we navigated our time here. When we walked through the arches of Chase Hall 4 years ago, on that rainy, humid June day, we did not yet have a way. We chose the motto because the words were aspirational, and over the next 4 years, our relentless optimism and our consistent drive enabled us to grow into the class that the motto challenged us to be. We followed the paths set before us and made new ones for those who will come after us. Some paths are well worn. The classes before us have endured and overcome challenges of their own, and we've heard all about those challenges from those classes, especially some of the older classes, and they've told us how they're the last real class because of the challenges they've endured and the things they've done. And we too are the last real class because the last we shared together in the challenges we overcame. But we also experienced many firsts as a class that made us distinct. This year, our women's rugby team led the programs to the first collegiate national title. Our class was the first to implement a phased approach to summer training and the first to graduate ensigns with minors in emergency management. We pioneered new career pipelines into physician assistant school, into deployable special forces directly from the academy, first to ever do it. We found ways through challenges that tested our resolve but never did it alone. Our faculty and staff have shown up for us every day with professionalism, patience, and care. And they have taught us, coached us, mentored us, and kept us moving forward every single day. That commitment has left an impression on our class, and it deserves our gratitude. So I'd like to take a moment, if the class would like to turn around, look behind you. Behind you sit faculty and staff, family and friends, loved ones, who have poured into you, supported you on your hard days, and celebrated you on your good ones. And our class found a way because you supported us every step of the path to this stage. Thank you. Our time here is made up of many moments. Some feel big and extraordinary, and some feel much smaller and very ordinary. And we face those moments with hopefulness and a drive to overcome the challenges around them. The big moments we'll always remember: our last push-up on the parade field after swab summer, receiving our class rings at ring dance, school dances, billet night, where we cheered so loud it was difficult to hear Captain Ensley announce the next billet. Those moments were moments of momentum. And as I learned in physics class, once an object is in motion, it's difficult to stop. In our class, the class of 2026, is difficult to stop. There were also many smaller moments that carried us here. Staying in the wardroom long after food was served to spend time with friends, spontaneous conversations at the OD desk, running into cadets in public on the golf course, and late-night C-store runs for energy drinks and snacks to attack long procrastinated work. And those moments and the attitude we brought to each next assignment, each next day, and each next semester is how we made our way to where we stand today. Soon, we will all report to units where we will have much to learn. The ensign bars we are anxious to put on our shoulders are not ones of experience, but ones of heavy responsibility. However, the attributes that carried us forward these last 4 years will matter much more than pretending we have all the answers. If we enter our new jobs with humility, relentless drive, and consistent optimism, we will continue to blaze new paths forward. When a cutter's bridge is exhausted, a watch floor is overwhelmed with calls, or the weather takes a turn for the worse, the class of 2026 will be ready. We will find a way or make one. Thank you.
Please rise for the arrival of the official party and the rendering of honors. Platform party covers. Now, Coast Guard arriving. Now, Homeland Security arriving. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America arriving. Covered military personnel, hand salute. Ready, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please rise for honors with a 21-gun salute and ruffles and flourishes. Hand salute. Ready, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. It is now my privilege to introduce the Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Kevin E. Lunday.
Good morning. Linda Lee and I are honored to be here today. President Trump, thank you for coming back today to charge these new officers as they head out to our operating forces. Thank you for your visionary leadership to renew the Coast Guard, starting with last year's record capital investment, sir, to buy new cutters, boats, aircraft, facilities, and technology. Sir, we've already spent $13 billion of that to meet your intent, and we're on track to spend nearly all of it by the end of this year. Thank you for your strong 27 annual budget that, when funded by Congress before October, will grow our service by nearly 6,000 people to operate those new assets. And thank you for your resolute advocacy for not just the Coast Guard, but all of our armed forces, sir. Secretary Mullen, thank you. Secretary Mullen, thank you for your leadership and support of our Coast Guard, men and women and their families. And under the President's direction, for fighting to successfully fund the Coast Guard and the rest of DHS and ensure that what happened this year never happens again. We will not forget what you did, sir. To the superintendent, faculty, and staff, thank you for forging these men and women into leaders of character who are ready for the call. To the parents, families, and friends, you laid the firm foundation of character and values for these graduates. Their success reflects your enduring love and support. Thank you. To the class of 2026, congratulations. 4 years ago, you arrived as individuals, Americans drawn from across our great United States, including our U.S. territories in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, and American Samoa. You were joined here by international students from allied and partner nations. Today, as you march out, you do so as a unified team, forged in the crucible and bound together by a shared calling to serve with honor, respect, and devotion to duty. You will serve at a time of historic consequence. The maritime domain is more complex, contested, and more vital to American security and prosperity than ever before. And today, the Coast Guard is in greater demand, and we are delivering proven value and results to the American people. We save lives. We secure and defend our homeland and its maritime approaches, from the borders of the mainland U.S. throughout the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere, to Alaska and the Arctic, to Hawaii and the 3 territories in the Pacific and in cyberspace. We facilitate commerce through our ports, waterways, and shipping, vital to America's economic prosperity and to rebuilding the nation's maritime might. And we respond to crisis. At the same time, our service is implementing the President's vision to renew the Coast Guard through force design, a generational transformation that's building a new fleet of assets and bringing in the additional men and women who will operate them. Our people are our greatest treasure. And as we build the most advanced ships in the world, they are nothing without their crews and the leaders of character to command them. You are those leaders. You'll soon report to your first units to lead across our operating forces aboard cutters, at sectors, in deployable specialized forces teams, and at Coast Guard Cyber Command. First, though, you will take the oath to support and defend the Constitution that accompanies your military commission. The commission is more than words. It is a direct grant of constitutional authority from our President and Commander-in-Chief to you, and it represents a sacred trust with the American people. As commissioned officers in the profession of arms, you must lead as if your lives depend on it. For certain, the lives of the men and women you lead, their lives will depend on it. And the lives of the American people we serve will depend on it. The Academy has prepared generations of officers, and you have spent 4 years preparing for this moment. And I know you are ready. I am incredibly proud to serve as your commandant. Looking to the horizon, I have certain hope for the future. For there's one thing our distinguished service history proves. With a ready Coast Guard crew and the strong support of the American people, there is nothing we can't accomplish. Semper Paratus. I'm now honored to introduce a distinguished leader who knows what it takes to secure our United States and enable our Coast Guard and the department to deliver mission success. A fighter who's always in our corner, leading from the front, our Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen.
Thank you, Admiral Lundy. And thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me such an honor to serve in your cabinet at such a historic time. As Secretary of Homeland, it's a very humbling position I find myself in, and I play no games about who is my favorite out of the 22 components. I understand the Coast Guard, you're our first line of defense to protecting the homeland. And our President, our Commander-in-Chief, he believes in peace through strength. But he also understands that not everybody believes in peace, and some people only respect strength. And because of the great men and women who sit in front of me today, you give our Commander-in-Chief the options. Because you're the 1%ers. You're the 1% that'll stand up and you defend our freedoms, you defend our Constitution, you defend our homeland, you defend our nation. And our Commander-in-Chief loves you for that. As the 1%ers, the President has made it his obligation, plus his mission, to fund our military in the way that no other president has done. He's invested millions, in the tunes of $25 billion, actually, to fund the Coast Guard, to bring the Coast Guard back to mission capable, to not just fit today's missions, but to focus on tomorrow's missions as well. As I stated before, you're the front line protecting our shores. You protect our inland waterways. You're the law enforcement of the water. And our president realizes that. Your commander-in-chief, this isn't his first time to come and speak at this podium. In fact, this is his second time to come speak at this podium. And I'm going to go off my notes a little bit and just talk about the ride over here. He had your Commandant, Lundy, in the Flying Mobile Office, or the Oval Office. And he was bragging about everything from your uniforms to how you guys learn how to swim, to your missions capability, and to the fact that you guys are involved in every mission. And when we're taking down the narco boats to the illegal flag vessels, you guys are involved in it. And it comes with a great sense of pride for me, because I get to call our commander-in-chief also my friend. And for me to stand in front of you today and be able to introduce him to the one percenters, I take that as one of the greatest honors of my life. So without anybody waiting on me, because I'm never going to get in the way of this guy, let me introduce your commander-in-chief, our 45th and 47th President of the United States, Mr. President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was beautiful. He's a fantastic man. He's a special, very special man. He always has been. And Mark Wayne, thank you. Appreciate it. And hello, cadets. And let me begin by saying a very big congratulations to the class of 2026, special class. It's a true honor to be here on this magnificent day at one of the most prestigious military academies anywhere in the world, and I'm thrilled to become the first president to ever give a second keynote address to this storied institution. I am very proud of that honor. We'll have to try it a third time. We're going to have to try it maybe a third time, too, to keep that record intact. And a few moments from now, every graduate in the field will go forth with a even greater honor, one of the highest distinctions anyone can attain. You'll become commissioned officers in the United States Coast Guard, and our country is hot. This is a great time. Our country is hot. I hate to say it, but I will. A year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the last administration, we were a dead country. Right now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're respected all over the world. You saw that with China just recently. You saw that in Venezuela. You saw that right now in Iran. Everything's gone. Their Navy's gone. Their Air Force is gone. Just about everything. The only question is, do we go and finish it up, or are they going to be signing a document? Let's see what happens. But we're a hot country. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world, with the strongest, most powerful military anywhere in the world, and there's nobody close. I want to thank our new Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, a fantastic man, for the introduction, along with Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Kevin Lundy. And he is something. He's a special guy. You know, when you get to that position in the Coast Guard, you're very something. I don't have to ask, gee, how good is he? They have to be very good. It goes with the territory. And the President of the Republic of Palau, Surin Gel Whips Jr., I want to thank you very much. And you're here, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Over the past 4 years, this class has been mentioned by an exceptional team of professors and coaches and military professionals who have shaped you into leaders. You came with very good quality, but they've shaped you nevertheless. And warriors who revere honor and really honor duty. You honor duty like very few others can even think about it. So let's give a big round of applause to the entire faculty and staff that made this possible. And I especially want to thank Academy Superintendent Rear Admiral Greg Rothrock. Come on, get up here, Greg. Come here, Greg. He does a hell of a job. You don't want to mess with him. Don't mess around with him. Thank you very much, Greg. Fantastic. Also, your Assistant Superintendent, Captain Jess Razioks. Where is he? Where? Oh, nice. Very nice, thank you. Commandant of Cadets, Captain Aaron Casabant. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Command Master Chief Evan Birch. Evan, where are you, Evan? Good job up here, Evan. It's never easy, Evan, up here, right? You feel more comfortable on the water. And class advisor Christy Rose. Christy. Thank you, Christy. And of course, where would you be without the wonderful friends and family in the stands? And there are a lot of them here who loved and supported you, and they were with you every single step of the way, and they do love you. They do love you. Sometimes they're not forthcoming with that statement. They're up there. Half of them are crying. Look, their boy, their girl, right? Their boy or their girl. They call him girl, by the way, and they call him boy. And in 30 years, they'll be calling you boy and girl, too. They love you. Your parents and your family, please. To all of the moms and dads, grandparents, and family members here on this joyous occasion, thank you for everything you've done to raise such amazing American patriots. We really appreciate it. What a group. And today is all about the incredible class of 2026 that you've achieved and all of the things that you've achieved and the exciting future that awaits. You have an amazing future. Very soon you'll swap your shoulder boards and you'll join the long blue line of legendary rescuers, seafarers, and service members that fill American hearts with admiration and pride. I've watched it. I've watched you during those hurricanes in Texas, and you got out there and you were going through waves that nobody else would have done. I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, Captain, I'm not feeling too good today. I think I have to take a day off. But you would have none of it. You are really something. I watched it. You saved so many lives. During my first term, we had one of the worst hurricanes ever in Texas and the Gulf. And the bravery that you displayed was incredible. You saved thousands. I think the number was 17,000 lives you saved. Through every generation, the heroes of the United States Coast Guard have lived by a creed of honor and bravery and sacrifice that have defied every storm, shipwreck, and every single enemy attack. In the hour of need, our Coast Guardsmen have brought hope to the hopeless and swept the innocent from the jaws of a raging sea, seas like nobody's ever seen before in some cases. Coast Guard warriors piloted the famous Higgins boats and delivered American liberation to beaches of Normandy and sailed through smoke and flame and gunfire to put the Marines and the Guadalcanal very much into play, and they patrolled the distant shores of Manila Bay and Mekong Delta and the Red Sea, and they patrolled them like nobody has ever been able to patrol them before or since. For decades, the men and women of this noble service have repeated an unofficial motto of pure, unyielding courage. It says, you have to go out but you don't have to come back. That's a statement. You have to go, I think of that, you have to go out, but you don't have to go back. And you know what that means? That means danger, and it's a statement that you live by. This is the unbelievable heroism and exceptional selflessness that lives in the soul of every single cadet on this field, every single one of you. And you've all been tested. You'll be tested further and probably at higher levels as your career goes on, but you've been very strongly tested and you have what it takes. You're America's first defenders. You are America's first responders. You are the living standard bearers of America's first fleet. As your commander-in-chief, I could not be prouder of the great class of 2026. Congratulations. Congratulations. Amazing. And I'd have no doubt to say, and just like those Coast Guard legends who came before you, you will always put America first. We put America first now. We haven't done that for a long time, but we do that under the Trump administration, I will tell you. And the whole world is saying, well, America's first, and they put America first. And we help others too, but we put America first. 4 years ago, most of the cadets here today could have gone to almost any school that you wanted. It's so hard to get into the Coast Guard. I had so many people, sir, could you get my son? He wants to go to the Coast Guard Academy. And I look at the son, I say, he's not going to make it. Terrible. I lost a lot of friends. But every once in a while, I'll call up with somebody outstanding, and they'll generally take care. If they don't take care, they're fired. So, you know, they have no choice. But you really have outstanding people coming in. But you chose New London. You chose Cape May. You chose Kodiak Island. You chose the great service of God and country in the U.S. Coast Guard, and it was the best decision of your lives. One of the great decisions, you will say it. It's hard to say it now, but you will say it as time goes by. This will be the best decision of your life, where you decided to learn, go to school in this incredible, beautiful place. You came as strangers and American teenagers. You leave as officers, American warriors, and friends forever. You're always going to be friends with each other, hopefully with me. Today, this field is full of some of the smartest minds, the toughest athletes, and the most tenacious leaders our nation has to offer. It really is. It is very hard to get into this particular place. It is very, very hard. It is a lot of broken hearts. People don't do it. Good people, smart people, they can't quite make it. Many of you have excelled academically, but 49 cadets have studied longer and harder than anyone else. The very accomplished Coast Guard Academy scholars. Would you please stand? These are the really brilliant people. You're all brilliant, but these are perhaps slightly more brilliant. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Never feel guilty about success, right? But I think it's great. And at the top of your class with the highest score in both military and academic achievements is distinguished graduate Matthew Lanzillotta. Where is he? Where is he? Come here. Get up here. Come on. Come on, get up. Get up here. I want to see this guy. I hate good-looking men. Hey, good. Matthew, that's great. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. We also have the only cadet who earned a perfect score on every single fitness test. Now we're talking fitness. Do you know who this is already? Wow, this guy must be something. I think we'll have to invite him up. I want to check it out. For the last 4 straight years, which they think may be an all-time record, congratulations to Thomas Rhodes. Thomas, get up here, please. I want to see. I want to check him out. Whoa. Oh, we're not going to fight with him. I'm not fighting him. I'm not. This is not UFC. Please understand that, Thomas. Look at this guy. Look at the muscles in this guy.
He's a wrestler too, sir.
Thank you, man. That's a big honor, huh? Thank you very much. Just hit him in the shoulder. I hurt my hand. It's like hitting a rock. That's great. Thomas, that's fantastic. Another member of this class is making history as well today. Mike Keddish becomes the first Coast Guard Academy graduate to ever go straight from the Corps of Cadets into the Coast Guard Special Forces. So what was that all about? Come on up here. Come on. Let's go. Come on up here, Mike. I want to see what these guys... I like to see what these guys are like. Because, you know, it's competition for me, too. I have to compete with you now. I'm not liking that. How are you? Fantastic. Wow, that's a big achievement. These are special people. Thank you very much, Michael. For the past 4 years, you've been led by your brilliant class president, Savannah Riera. Where is she? Hey, Savannah. Where are you, Savannah? Where are you, Savannah? Where's Savannah?
To your left, sir.
Savannah, come on up here. I have to. If I didn't invite her up, they'd accuse me of discrimination. That would not be. I'd be, ladies and gentlemen, the president got sued today. Savannah, come on up. I have to get her up here, and she looks so fantastic. This is ridiculous. Nothing like having a little fun. Do you agree? This is your big day. We got to get Savannah up here. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savannah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah. Wow. This class has also been blessed with many tremendous athletes, including the Academy's all-time leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, wide receiver, Brooke Desta. Where's Brooke? Wow. That's a pretty good record, Brooke. I'll let you come up if you want. You want to come up? Come on up here, Brooke. Come on. You can see they want you up here, Brooke. So do we have a little NFL future here, maybe? I don't know. Usually that can happen when you're leading by that much. That's a lot of achievement. Thank you. You know, we've made it possible. I did this. We made it possible for people like Brooke that really have a great ability at sport, and in some cases will be drafted by the NFL or have a chance of getting into the NFL or baseball or basketball or whatever it might be. The problem is they had to serve, as you know. They had to serve 5 years, and that's not exactly conducive to being drafted very high if you had to go away. So I made a decision in my first term, and we adhere to it very strongly, that when somebody has the ability, going to Coast Guard or West Point, Annapolis, Air Force, any of them, if you have a student with extreme ability that gets drafted and can play in professional football, we allow you to go immediately, and you serve your time in the Coast Guard or whatever after your professional career is over. And it has made such a difference. It's also made a big difference in recruiting. That's why your teams are better today than they used to be. So I make these little contributions. I don't know if people know I made those contributions, but so Brooke, I want 25% of everything you earn. Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. So it's a little bit of a help, but it actually, what we didn't expect, it made your recruiting much better because you're able to now recruit the top people that really have a chance of getting into professional sports, and one of the reasons you have such good teams. We also have your all-time leader in points in the assists for women lacrosse, Abby McAllister. Abby, where are you, Abby? Stand up, Abby. Oh, are you that good, Abby? Do you want to come up, Abby? Come on, Abby. Come on up, Abby. See, we throw them a little off on timing when I do this, but what the hell? We have time, right? This is your day. And when somebody achieves with these people, we should give them a little extra recognition, right? That's a tough sport, Abby. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with you. That's great. That's a big record. Thank you, Abby. Of course, there are those of you who have made your mark on the school in many other ways, like the mayor of the class, Freddie Wheaton, the founder of Phi Kappa Granny, Evan Granahan, and the leader of the esports club, Aiden Roskowski. They've done a great job. That's good. That's also called leadership. While everyone has worked and studied hard, some may have spent a little bit too much time at a place called Mr. G's. I don't know what Mr. G's is. I don't know what it is, but I don't like the sound of this. Where am I going with this one? But we want you all to have a clean slate as you begin your careers. So therefore, Mr. Superintendent, I hereby absolve all cadets who are on restriction for minor conduct infractions and even somewhat major infractions, effective immediately. Okay? You guys, you got away with murder. I was just in a good mood. I was in a very good mood to do that. Every branch of our armed forces protects American lives, but the Coast Guard is the only service explicitly dedicated to saving them. You're saving lives. You never leave an American behind, and you never would. In the past year, our Coast Guard heroes have saved over 5,200 lives at least and helped carry out and carry over 19,000 people to safety. Amazing. One of the special cadets in this class has already saved his first life during his first-class summer, providing life-saving care to the person in distress off the coast of Alaska. Job well done. That's Mason White. Mason, thank you. Stand up, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mason. Great job. That was early on, right? And that was a great job. Thank you very much. When you leave here today, every cadet on the field will be stepping into a critical role in the defense of our country to protect our maritime infrastructure. 12 of you will be going to Coast Guard Cyber Command. That's a big deal. 20 are heading to Coast Guard Flight School. 23 will join Prevention and Response, and a whopping 181 cadets will become afloat officers in a fleet, because as you like to say, underway is the only way, and that's a pretty cool statement. And you know, I don't know if you know this, but I was telling your leaders before that we have 11, we're way down on icebreakers, and we've ordered 11. We're working with Finland. They make icebreakers. They make the best icebreakers. We're going to learn everything we can learn. We're going to shortly make them ourselves. But we're making, right now, currently under construction, we have 11 beautiful. And I said, come on, when's the first one coming? They said, in 28. I said, I'm going to be here in 28. Maybe I'll be here in 32, too. I don't know. Maybe I will. But I'm going to be here in 28. And I'll tell you, I said, that's great, because I'm going to be there at the dedication. They have been trying to get icebreakers for years and years. and no president was able to provide them with what you need to get it done. And I want to thank the country of Finland, because they are known to make the best icebreakers. And I thought going there, for starters, you know, we tried making one, but it was too front heavy. It wouldn't have worked, because an icebreaker has to come crashing down. And when the front weighs 4 times more than the back, bad things happen. So I realized we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I went to Finland and was with the president of Finland, and we worked out a deal. And we're making 11 total. Some of them are going to be made right here. We're going to learn the craft, and we're going to have so many icebreakers. You know, Russia has 48, and we have one very old one. It's ridiculous. And we have the whole Arctic. We have the whole region. And we're going to have a whole big fleet very shortly, and they're starting to come in a very quick fashion. After that, we're going to go way up higher. We'll have at least 55 within a short period of time, so that'll be great. And you're going to be operating them and running them, and it's probably another category. The class of 2026 is graduating at an incredible, exciting time for our nation and the Coast Guard in particular. As you enter the office corps of the greatest military in the history of the world, our national strength is back. Our morale is back. We are a confident country again. We have confidence is back. And above all, America is back, bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We have a strong, great, respected country again. We went off course. We went very sadly off course. For years, Washington, D.C. was run by foolish politicians who thought they could defy the laws of world history, violating every common sense principle, for preserving national power and national security. And they surrendered our industrial capacity to other countries, crippled our energy production, threw open our borders. We had borders with they were open borders, they called them. People came in totally unchecked and unvetted. You know how many people over 4 years in the last term? 25 million people. They came in as murderers. They were coming in from other countries. They came in from prisons. They were drug dealers. They came in from mental institutions and insane asylums. They allowed them to just flow into our country. We're getting them out. We've got a lot of them out. 11,888 murderers. Think of that. 50%, or more than 50%, committed more than one murder. They were allowed in our country. We can never forget the sins of what they did to our country, but we're getting them out. In fact, we've gotten them to the extent that we just had the best crime numbers in history. The best crime numbers, meaning the lowest crime numbers in history, were just last month released. Lowest number of murders since the year 1900, 125 years. So what they did to us is terrible, but we're getting it back into shape really properly. And now we went from the worst border in history to the strongest border we've ever had. In 11 months, not one illegal alien was able to get into our country. When you think of that, that's pretty amazing. And they can come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in through a process. They have to love our country. They have to show us that they can love our country, not that they want to blow up our country. I think that everybody agrees with that. Under this administration, we don't apologize for American power or wealth. What we do really is we want to maximize it. We take advantage of it. We unleash it. And we wield it to pursue our country's glorious destiny and our beautiful American dream. We have the American dream back. You didn't hear about the American dream too much for 4 years, and now the American dream is back. This is truly the golden age of America. We are in now the golden age. We have more production, more people. We have more people working today than at any time in the history of our country by far. We have more people having great jobs today than at any time in the history of our country. Our country is respected all over the world. The men and women of the Coast Guard have a vital role to play in this resurgence. This is a great resurgence. We have $18 trillion being invested in the United States. That's many, many times more than ever before. In fact, you'd have to go back more than 10 years. Another country a long time ago had $3 trillion. We have $18 trillion. The last administration for 4 years had less than $1 trillion. We have $18 trillion being invested in our country in 11 months because the numbers for the 12th have not come up, so that's going to increase it yet further. So that's an honor. It's a great honor. To me, that's something special. We're building plants, auto plants, every kind of plant you can imagine all over the country. And they're coming in from Canada. They're leaving other countries. They stole our auto business. They stole our chip business. We'll have close to 50% of the chip business by the time I leave. And right now we have none, practically. And we'll have, it was taken by other places. It was taken by Taiwan. I'm not knocking them. I'm saying if they can get away with it. But if you had the right president, that would have never happened. It wouldn't have been allowed to have happened. You would have put tariffs on, and you say, that's okay, you can steal our business, but if you're going to sell, if you think you're selling those chips back into us with no tax, you can forget it. And if we did that, we wouldn't have lost those businesses, the autos, the chips, the semiconductors. All of that would be here, but it's all pouring back into our country right now because of the word tariff. As you know, one of my favorite words, I got into big trouble. I said, this is my favorite word in the dictionary, my favorite word, the word tariff. And the fake news, look at all of them back there. They said, what about God? What about wife, family? What about other things like Bible? So I was in deep trouble because I said tariff is my favorite. So I made it number 5, and now I'm okay. Now I'm okay. They think I'm kidding, but they gave me a hard time. But with your help, we're reasserting one of the most time-honored principles of our national security, that the American dominance in Western Hemisphere will not be threatened under any circumstance. As an example, we will not let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. It's very simple. We will not let that happen. And we have great support. You wouldn't know that by reading the fake news, but we have great support. People don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, and they will not have a nuclear weapon, and they want to make a deal so badly. We'll see what happens, but we hit them very hard, but we may have to hit them even harder, but maybe not. But we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon and blow up the entire Middle East, Israel, the entire Middle East, and then come here for you. Not going to happen. So just as no family can be truly secure in a violent neighborhood, we will not allow chaos, instability, or danger to fester in America's own backyard. We're not going to let it happen. One of the reasons we have Mark Wayne, and one of the reasons that I feel so good about things, is a tough cookie. You know, he was a great fighter, too. A great fighter. He was a tough cookie and a very successful fighter. His sons are all-American fighters, so they have good genetics in that family. But Mark Wayne is a tough guy with I always say he's a tough guy with a great heart. And that's a good combination. So from the Gulf of America to the frozen waters of the Arctic, from the shores of Havana to the banks of the Panama Canal, we will drive out the forces of lawlessness and crime and foreign encroachment, just like we've been doing. You know, we have only 3% coming in. We were getting tremendous, you would understand this because you were involved in this, we're having tremendous amounts of drugs brought in by sea, by ocean, by water. And a tremendous amount. And we've now reduced that to 3%. So it was a big percentage, and now it's all the way down to 3%. And we've hit them very hard, as you know. Not that it's something we wanted to do. And we never miss. We hit them very hard. And actually, people are trying to figure out who are the 3% because they happen to be the bravest people perhaps anywhere in the world. The 3% that's left, but I don't even think they have 3%. We virtually stopped it. And now we're going to stop the drugs coming in by land, and that's the easy one to do. That's the easy one. I want to thank the Coast Guard because you've been unbelievable in that endeavor. Think of it. We had a majority of drugs were coming in by the sea, by the ocean, and we have virtually stopped that. And now for the easy part, the land, much easier. And it will be equally quick. And we are going to have drugs are down by 61%, but we want to get them down to almost nothing because they've destroyed so many families, so many people, so many lives. Our Coast Guard cutters are elite tactical teams where the pivotal is enforcing our successful blockade. And you just have to see this. We have a blockade that's, they call it the wall of steel. Nobody goes through them. And you're a big part of it. Nobody goes through. The Navy, the Coast Guard, we have ships that tried to go through, and they're saying young captains from Coast Guard Academy, the Naval Academy, Annapolis, And they say, do not proceed further. They have the greatest loudspeaker system, much better than this one, let me tell you. It goes over the water, it bounces on the water, and you have this young, handsome captain saying, do not proceed further. You are in enemy territory. Do not proceed further or we will shoot. And you have a ship that's like 2 football fields long that carries 2 million barrels of oil. Think of that, 2 million barrels. And on occasion, they'll try and disobey. And last week you saw one shot, not a missile shot, a bullet, a very large bullet. A bullet from 4 miles hit the rudder of the ship, and the rudder of the ship fell into the ocean. It was a beautiful thing to see. It just fell in. I said, what the hell kind of a shot was that? And the man said, no, we are going back to Iran. See, now I say Iran. I don't use, because he obviously has a correct pronunciation. We will go back to Iran. And it took, with a broken rudder, with the rudder that was laying at the bottom of the sea, it took 10 miles just to turn that ship back. But nobody violates it, nobody. And I was with, as you know, President Xi of China 2 days ago. We had a tremendous meeting, very successful meeting. And he agrees our military is phenomenal. I don't want to go beyond that, but I will tell you he respects our military tremendously. Our military is respected. We have, as I said, the greatest military anywhere in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. We have a budget this year of $1.5 trillion. That's the biggest budget we've ever had. That includes the Coast Guard. Don't worry about it. Look, they're getting a little bit concerned. Don't worry, it includes you. You're going to have so many Coast Guard cutters, you're not going to know what to do with them. You'll have a cutter that's 2 years old. You say, Captain, I want the new one. Didn't used to be that way. But we have a lot of money coming your way, you know that. Because of these people and people like them. They made a great case for it, and I'm a big fan. So, we take care of it while I'm here, because we're going to take care of the Coast Guard like you wouldn't believe. And in a flawless, thank you. And in a flawless operation last January, supported by the Coast Guard, America's armed forces captured the outlaw Nicolas Maduro and brought him back to American justice. He's awaiting trial from Venezuela, an attack that took less than 1 day. And it was an amazing, I think it's one that's going to be studied for a long time. Great, smart country, very tough military country, but it really took 48 minutes and 13 seconds to be exact, but let's give it 1 day. And he's now awaiting trial. And now we have a great joint venture with Venezuela. We have millions of barrels of oil coming into Houston and coming into parts of Texas and Louisiana and Alaska. And it's been an amazing thing. You know, Venezuela used to be a really great country 20 years ago. Then it went the wrong way. It went the way they'd like to take this country. Some lunatics would like to take this country way, way left and destroy it. But we're not going to let that happen. We're not letting that happen. This service has also been at really the center of the battle to restore sovereign borders for the United States and keep drugs and criminals out of our country, and we're keeping them out. Since I took office, the Coast Guard has seized over 206 million lethal doses of illicit narcotics, the most in the history of our country, enough to kill a country, a large country, many, many times over. And you've seized it, and you seize it constantly, and you don't play games. Last August, the Coast Guard cutter Hamilton interdicted 76,000 pounds of illegal drugs, the largest Coast Guard drug bust of all time, largest ever. And I'm telling you, the Coast Guard has always been good, but you've stepped it up even beyond that. 5 cadets graduating today were part of that historic action. And I'll mention their name. Elliot Coles, stand up, Elliot. Jenna Lewandowski, Piper Stevens, Hannah Warner Kay, and J.J. Banek Gebel. Thank you. Great job. Thank you very much. The Coast Guard has also played an important role in Operation Epic Fury to ensure that the Iranian regime never obtains a nuclear weapon. Just 2 months ago, off the Coast Guard at Malaysia, a highly trained U.S. Coast Guard tactical team helped seize a sanctioned Iranian oil tanker that had been used to transport over 1 million barrels of oil from Kharg Island into the coffers of Iran. We don't want that to happen. This is the third sanctioned Iranian vessel the Coast Guard has helped capture since we began the fighting, the real fighting with Iran, and many more to come, I suspect, unless they get smart. Everywhere you go, you say, never forget. You represent the most righteous, successful, and exceptional nation in all of history, and you were really put in a position where you wear the uniform, the most powerful military ever to sail the seas. You are right now at the pinnacle of this nation. You are at the pinnacle. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I couldn't have said that. I wouldn't have been up here, but I couldn't have said that. You were not at the pinnacle at all. Right now, you're at the pinnacle of the Coast Guard, at the pinnacle of the military, and that military includes the Coast Guard will soon be stronger and more powerful than ever before with all of the things we've done. Last year, I signed a record-setting $25 billion investment in the Coast Guard, including funding for 22 new cutters, 40 new search and rescue helicopters, 25 state-of-the-art icebreakers, and we're also providing $380 million for renovations and improvements right here at the Academy. The Academy is going to be so beautiful. It's already beautiful, frankly, but it's going to be tippy-top, as I say. It's going to be perfect. Under our leadership, this service is seeing more action than at any time in many decades. I would say at any time, period, you've never seen what is happening. And the Coast Guard, as good as it has been, has never seen what's happening to it right now. And the spirit has never been higher. And I think we can say that. It starts with the leadership, but I think its spirit with the Coast Guard has never been higher than it's been right now. And I got to know a couple of people over the last 2 weeks from the Coast Guard, and I can see why. These are incredibly brilliant people, good people. I have to say, I don't want to give them any ideas, but in the private sector, they'd be making a lot of money. And you know what? They wouldn't trade what they're doing. Would you guys trade for millions a year? Maybe. Maybe. No, you wouldn't. I don't think you would. A lot of people would like to be in your position that are doing very well, believe me. In the 4 years before I took office, the Coast Guard recruitment missed targets by 20 and 25 and 30%, the targets, the recruitment targets. And not only you, the Marines, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, that's my baby. I started Space Force. I was very happy. It's going to turn out to be one of the most important of all. But you missed your recruitment numbers, and it was an embarrassing time. Not only the military, the police, firemen, anybody with a uniform, they didn't want to be associated with our country, frankly. And last year, the Coast Guard beat its recruitment goals by 120%. And we have so many people wanting to get into the Coast Guard and all levels of the military now that weren't even thinking about it. To me, it's one of the most exciting things. When I first came, we had the election on November 5th, and it really started from the day of the election. But we had the election on November 5th. But I will tell you, before that, you couldn't recruit people to go into the military. Nobody wanted to be there. They were trying to reduce standards. Now the standards, I hate to say, are through the roof. But now we have lines of people wanting to get into every group of, whether it's the Navy, the Coast Guard. And I will tell you, I looked at the numbers, the Coast Guard in particular, you have exceeded your numbers. You have a waiting list that's a mile long of people that want to get in. So I think I have to say congratulations on that. You know, it's a really big deal. And by the end of my term, we are adding 15,000 new Coast Guardsmen. And we're going to have them added to the list because of all the new equipment that we've ordered. And it's a true honor to be your commander-in-chief. I mean, I'm looking at you. I'm glad to get to shake hands of a few of your outstanding people. But every one of you are outstanding. You're in a category that's really very unique, very hard to be, very hard to get there. Now you know, even by the recruitment numbers, you know it is. But beyond that, it's just a very special group of people, and you are a very special group of people. As you begin your important new missions and your mission in life, today let me leave you with a few words of advice to maybe help you a little bit on your way. First, most important, never ever give up. Never give up. They ask me, how do you be successful, sir? Starts with never give up. I've learned a lot about life, but the one thing I've really learned is that perseverance, never quitting, never giving up is a big deal. You'll be right there, right at the gate, and you've seen it. You've seen it in sports. You've seen it. They're right there at the gate, and they give up. Never give up. And whatever happens, no matter where you are in life or what situation you find yourself in the seas or anywhere else that you may be, keep pushing forward. Always push forward. Never stop pushing forward. No matter how terrible the storm, no matter how difficult the mission, never surrender. Keep going, keep fighting, and make the adversary quit first. Let them quit. They're going to quit if you keep going. Second, at this pivotal time of transformation for our armed forces, you have to think big. It's much better thinking big. Small solutions yield small results. Only big ideas will yield to tremendous change and greatness. Americans do not want to live in a world ruled by someone else's big ideas. Live in a future and shape your future, and you want to dominate your future, and you want to dominate it for your great military and for your country. Think big. During the course of your Coast Guard careers, it will be time for incredible change, and change is going to happen, change that we can't even think of right now. The things will happen, and I believe for the best, hopefully for the best, but I believe for the best. But things will happen that you can't even imagine, and it's going to be very exciting. But the way that's going to happen is through thinking big. Nothing great was ever built. Think of that. Nothing great was ever built without the word momentum at your side. In times of your life, you'll have momentum. That's the time you go for it. I tell stories about people that lost their momentum and they went and it didn't work out well. You know when you're doing well. You know when you have that positive momentum. So take that momentum and go for it. So many people, they wait the wrong time. You know when it's right. Go with the momentum. The towering men and women of history have always been people of action. You answered the call to serve, and now you need to make sure that most of your time is spent on very important roles in life. You've done a lot, and you've had a lot of relaxation. Frankly, if you enjoy what you're doing, there's no such thing as work. It's not work. What you're doing, I would say with most of you, it's not work. What you've done is a lot of work, but it's not work. It really isn't. It's a great pleasure. I find myself, I work a lot. They say he's a workaholic. I'm not a workaholic. It would be tough if I didn't do things. If I didn't do things, I don't know what I'd be doing. It probably wouldn't be good. But you got to love it. And if you love it, it's never considered work. There will always be time for taking the easy path. And there'll be times when you want to do that or to settle for maybe a short-term fix. But for the best results, it'll always be a product of unbelievably hard work. That's why I always sign something. They say, oh, could you put something on? I say, work hard. To a young person, work hard. Because you have to work hard. It's so competitive. Life is so competitive. You have to work hard. It's never going to come easy. You have to work hard. A lot of great athletes, they say, the harder it work. I remember Gary Player, a great golfer. He was somewhat smaller than other great athletes. And he said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. That was the first time I heard it. I've heard that expression a lot, but the first time was from the great Gary Player, one of the top 3 golfers of all time. And he said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's a great expression. Fourth, as you go into life, and right here at the Coast Guard, you want to keep your eyes in the boat. You want to have your eyes in the boat. You know what that expression means better than anybody. Do not be distracted by what's outside. You just want to look back and you want to just see what's happening, but keep your eyes in the boat, a Coast Guard expression. Focus on the task before you and move forward. Always, always move forward, never move back. Remember, what actually matters and pursuit of success is, it really has to be relentless. You've got to be relentless. And many of you are relentless. You wouldn't be here if you weren't, because There are 10 people for every seat that I'm looking at, 10 people, and I think even more than that, that wanted that seat, and you made it. So finally, you have to be strong. You have to be really strong, and I don't mean just with muscle strength. I mean with mental strength, and you have to be brave. In your profession, you have a level of bravery that has to supersede a normal person's bravery, but that's why you're here. America was not founded by weak and timid men or women who cowered in the face of evil or sat by as danger loomed. As President Theodore Roosevelt said, freedom is not a gift that lasts long in the hands of cowards and weak people. Today, our country faces the threats that are very strong, but we have a much stronger country today than we had 2 years ago. Today, the threats that looked really bad 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had a country that was rudderless, just like that ship that had its rudder shot off. We have a country now with very strong, powerful rudders. But every one of you has your soul, the strength and courage to face whatever comes before you. You're going to do unbelievably well. I mean, just have no idea. I look at audiences all the time, but I'm looking at this audience. It's just an incredible group of people, a beautiful, beautiful, brilliant group of people. So you're brave and you're bold and you're always ready to go, and you inherit the legacy of some of the most daring and intrepid Americans ever to live. You are inheriting the mantle of some of the bravest people, some of the most incredible warriors ever right here. A tradition of pride and glory and greatness passed down from one generation to the Coast Guard heroes to the next. You had great heroes. In World War II, the Coast Guard was the first branch of the military to seize a Nazi vessel and take enemy prisoners. The first one to do it was the Coast Guard. The first branch to traverse the Northwest Passage, and the first to sail a ship right up the middle of the frigid seas to the North Pole. You were the first. You were the first to do so much. And that's not going to change. And now you have equipment. I think we can say definitely when all that new equipment comes in, Admiral, you have equipment the likes of which the Coast Guard has never had before. So you'll have many ships sailing up instead of one. You're going to be doing things that nobody even thought possible. You have on order. Some of it's already delivered, but you have on order the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no other Coast Guard, there's no other, frankly, Navy that has anything like what's coming your way. On September 11th, 2001, amid the rubble, dust, and debris, it was the Coast Guard that organized the largest boat lift in all of history, evacuating 500,000 people from lower Manhattan. That was a terrible day. The gleaming white hulls and the blazing red stripes of your cutters have sliced through the horizon of nearly every major waterway on Earth. Every day, Coast Guard members plunge into pitch-black oceans, rush onto roaring surfs, and do battle with Mother Nature at her absolute worst. Mother Nature like few can imagine it even exists. And I've seen it. I've seen things that I said, nobody's going into that storm, and you guys go into it like it's just another day of work. You fly into gale force winds, smash into 50-foot waves, storm into floods of fire and shrapnel, and swarm through water so cold that it will snap a ship in half with just the wrong hit of a wave. But your fellow Americans, and above all, you're from the Coast Guard. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, that a Coast Guardsman cannot do. There really isn't. I've seen so much. I mean, as president, I've just seen so much. I've seen people that were going to be decimated, that were going to be destroyed in sea. I told you about some of the hurricanes. They were out at sea. They were boating, and they got caught. They wanted to go a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, and then they got gobbled up by nature. And the only way they could have survived was what you people were able to do. You went in there, and you got them. It wasn't easy. It was very dangerous. No matter how perilous the task, you're unafraid, and you're just an unstoppable force, and you want to stay that way. The U.S. Coast Guard has never, ever let us down. And with men and women like the great class of 2026, I know that will never happen. You're going to go on to greatness, the likes of which even the Coast Guard has not seen. So wherever the duty calls, whatever danger comes our way, you will fight, 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 and you will win, win, win. I want to just say a very strong God bless the Coast Guard Academy, the class of 2026. God bless the United States military, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. Have a great, great, and stellar career. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
At this time, I invite the class president, Cadet Savannah Rier, to come to the stage to present the class gift.
Mr. President, on behalf of the class of 2026, I present you with this token of appreciation.
I don't know if this is a good trade. This is for Savannah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like me to put that back down there for you? Okay. Thank you.
There you go, President Trump wrapping up that commencement address to the United States Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut. In just a minute, we'll go to Pastor Lorenzo Sewell, who just returned from the Rededicate 250 that happened in Washington, D.C. So stand by for that. Again, that will be in just 1 minute from now. Let's go to some of our sponsors quickly. All Family Pharmacy is one of them. When it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it: long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance, and really still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple because you go online, you choose what you need, and fill out a short medical form. It's also safe. A licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. And they offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. No confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code. Again, that's RSBN10 for 10% off. Let's go now to Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church. Sir, thank you again for joining us here on Right Side.
Oh, I'm so Holy Ghost happy and humble to be an American. I mean, can you imagine it? Being able to dedicate our country, be with the speaker, be with Pete Hegseth, be able to be with the great Franklin Graham, and all of those that love the Lord, love our country. As I was thinking about this interview, I thought about how prayer is in perpetuity, how prayer is reactive, proactive, and always active. I thought about how our forefathers, when they bent their knee to the Lord Jesus Christ, believing that this country would be the David to slay the Goliath of King George, that they did it by the power of God, by the authority of Christ. And now here we are, eating of their labor. I am so Holy Ghost happy and humble to see this momentous occasion.
Yeah, exactly. And so being at Rededicate 250, I listened to some of your message there. Of course, you were on one of the Freedom 250 videos. Of course, you were the one that also prayed back in, 2025, January 20th, inside the U.S. Capitol building when President Trump was inaugurated. So it's been quite the roller coaster for you. But at the end of the day, having, to your point, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit,
Yes,
Jesus,
yes.
as the leader and continuing on here in this country.
Well, we're looking at January. We're looking at July 5th now. We're looking at pastors all over the country calling me. We did a gathering at the USDA and we worshiped, and we are casting a vision called Pastors for POTUS, in order for us to use our pulpits to message the MAGA movement. Because what is the MAGA movement? It's the greatness of our God. That's what makes this country great. And our goal is to get the momentum for the midterms so we can see a crazy red wave. Why? Because Jesus' blood is red. We want a red wave to happen so we can be able to gain more momentum in the House, the Senate, and be able to make sure those gubernatorial races will be.
Well, it looks like we may have lost the pastor there, but we know that he is still probably talking right now some good truth at this point. So what we'll do is we'll record some of that interview after the broadcast. In the meantime, Director, let's go to MyPillow and maybe some programming. And then what we can do is we'll record the interview with Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church. I guess he's back now. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right, so it froze up for a second there, but it's a great point that you're making because, you know, a lot of times pastors in the pulpit, they, you know, obviously stick to the Bible, hopefully, right? But then, you know, speaking about what we need to do as people in this country as well, it's 1-2 punch, figuratively speaking. Do both things, right? You got to get out there and vote and pray. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go back to Pastor Lorenzo Sewell at a different time. Director, can we go back to programming and let's get to MyPillow and then we'll go to RSBN Donate. A few technical difficulties, we can roll with it here at Right Side. So mypillow.com/RSBN. The warehouse moving sale, save up to 80%. You can do that right there by going to mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. So glad that you stayed with us throughout this live broadcast. Of course, seeing the president at the Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut. We interviewed a number of people. Of course, a few tech difficulties. No big deal. It's part of the way it happens in live TV. But at the end of the day, Rededicate 250. What a great event that was. You saw the Christian artist, Chris Tomlin there, and many other artists, but also a number of pastors. And it was great to see, I believe it was Sadie Robinson Huff doing a great job as well. So, and Pastor Samuel Rodriguez and many others for Rededicate 250. At the end of the day, once again, all about loving God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Really, that's what it's about. And also experiencing the presence of God through the Holy Spirit is pretty awesome too. It's more than just knowing that God's real. It's getting a hug from your Father, from God. And that's might sound a little strange, but that's basically what I believe we're on earth to do, is have that connection with God and then also do great things on this earth and enjoy this life and hopefully have freedom in this country and many others out there. That's why we harp on the Save America Act so much, because we know that we have to have our freedoms intact, our unalienable rights, right? Anyway, we'll get to that interview with Pastor Lorenzo Sewell. We'll record that after the broadcast, but thanks again for joining us. My name's Matthew Alvarez. This is RSBN Live. We'll see you again soon.